From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
The Bozeman City Commission met for nearly 6 hours on Tuesday night for a public discussion about urban camping. This comes after a Supreme Court decision allowed the city to re-examine the effectiveness of Ordinance 2147.
Harrison Walls prepare to sweep the Southwest. I'm Jared Hill with the latest on their Battleground Blitz and how the Trump Vance ticket is challenging them along the way.
And Billings was hit by powerful winds. Coming up, we're going to talk to some residents now faced with thousands of dollars in damages and a lengthy cleanup from that storm. Alrighty, it is 6 o'clock. A beautiful look into the mining city. Maybe a few more clouds than we would like, but hey, keeping the temperatures cool out there, which is something we'll always take the positives. Now, we're going to throw the weather over to Chief Meteorologist Mike Hurd. All right, we are going to be getting that to you as soon as we can. If you'd like to, though, we can have this little look over at our futurecast for the moment. This is what we're looking at all across the southwest Montana area. As you can see, there is a thin layer of clouds out there towards Dillon and West Yellowstone. They get a little thicker as you move your way north towards Butte, but by about noon or so, well, a lot of those clouds do seem to disperse quite a bit, maybe a few drips and drops here and there, but I don't think it's a really strong chance. We're going to have more on your forecast coming up right now with Mike Hurd.
Here's an update on the 6 to 10 day outlook from the Climate Prediction Center. This is basically a blueprint that we're going to be working off of as we go through the next 2 weeks. And the general outlook has slightly warmer than normal temperatures across northern Montana, but near normal temperatures are likely across the southern half of the state. And in fact, we're going to continue a cooling trend through the rest of this week and the weekend into most of next week. But here's the best news of all. There is a slightly higher probability for some moisture. Now, it's not going to be widespread, big storms, nothing like that. It'll just be hit and miss variety, pocketed precipitation and isolated thunderstorms that could be around for the next 10 days. That's good, too.
That's absolutely great news. We'll take it as it comes. Thank you very much, Mike. Now for your top headlines this half hour. The Bozeman City Commission is re-examining urban camping after a recent Supreme Court ruling. MTN's Heaven Van was at Tuesday night's meeting with a look at the nearly 6 hours of public discussion that included a group being removed from the meeting.
After a recent Supreme Court ruling brought Bozeman's urban camping ordinance into question, the Bozeman City Commission met for nearly 6 hours, ending in protesters being escorted from the meeting. In an attempt to balance the city's responsibilities under prior court rulings and address the growing number of urban campers, Bozeman City adopted Ordinance 2147 in 2023. But a recent Supreme Court ruling overruled these decisions, putting the power back in the hands of local government. In light of the ruling, Bozeman City Commission decided to re-examine the effectiveness of this ordinance. City staff determined the ordinance left many problems unaddressed. And according to a city survey, which received 2,000 responses, the most response to any city survey before, many residents agree.
The question was asked in the survey about what the ordinance is doing well, what is going well under the ordinance, and 68% of respondents said not much.
And when respondents were asked if camping should be allowed on the public right-of-way,
86% approximately indicated no, 8% said yes, 4% unsure.
persistent problems reported by staff were
Safety and overall a sense of safety, conflicts between neighbors and neighborhoods, this term experiencing homelessness and really figuring out who's on the street, and then consequences that are insufficient to encourage compliance.
According to staff reports, 7% of all calls for service in the last year went to urban camping areas, as well as 10% of all felony and misdemeanor cases opened by Bozeman police. They shared that the areas had known meth and fentanyl dealings, as well as reports of human labor trafficking and oil and human waste polluting storm drains.
We are also incredibly mindful and want to highlight that persons living on the right-of-way are often victims of these felony offenses. Sometimes it is unhoused on house violence, sometimes it is housed and not, but people living out there are often the victims, and they are often the ones also reporting their safety concerns to the city and their sense of safety.
In response to this, staff recommended increasing urban camping restrictions, while also adding safe and legal options for housing. As the commission continued to hear from the public and discuss solutions, a protest by Tenants United was sparked. This story will continue to develop with decisions by the commission. In Bozeman, Heaven Van, MTN News.
Thank you very much, Heaven. Now, it was a tense morning yesterday in a Bozeman courtroom.
Safety of property.
Hey, Mr. Barthay.
That's 41-year-old Brett Barthay. He was arrested Tuesday in Bogart Park, accused of threatening a man and his dog with a knife at the pickleball courts. According to court documents, Barthay then resisted arrest and struck a police officer, all while yelling profanities, much like he did in court yesterday morning. Barthay was escorted out of the court proceedings because he would not stop yelling. The judge eventually set his bail at $250,000. And we're learning more about last year's derailment that sent 9 train cars tumbling into the Yellowstone River. The National Transportation Safety Board has issued a report identifying the, quote, catastrophic failure of the railroad bridge as the cause of that June 2023 derailment. More than 419,000 pounds of asphalt spilled into the river. The Federal Railroad Administration is also investigating the incident, with the agency saying it wants to know whether the bridge failed or the cars derailed first and then damaging the bridge, which caused the failure. And Vice President Kamala Harris and her running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, push ahead today in the Southwest with their battleground state campaign blitz. On Wednesday, they spent the day in the upper Midwest, where they had a close encounter with Republican vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance. CBS News' correspondent Jared Hill has more from New York.
In their first full day together on the trail, Vice President Kamala Harris and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz Wednesday took their fight to battleground Wisconsin and Michigan.
We each face a question. What kind of country do we want to live in? A country of freedom, compassion, and rule of law, or a country of chaos, fear, and hate?
At rallies in Detroit and Eau Claire, Harris and Walz took turns making their case against the Republican nominee, former President Donald Trump.
He has no understanding of service because he's too busy servicing himself.
Trump's running mate, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, has been counter-programming.
First, I want to say how great it is to be here in Eau Claire, Wisconsin.
With events of his own in the same cities, even approaching reporters near the vice president's plane when their flights overlapped at a nearby airport.
I just wanted to check out my future plane, but I also wanted to go say hello to the vice president and ask her why Kamala Harris why does she refuse to answer questions from the media?
Today, Harris and Walz head to the Southwest, sweeping the Sun Belt, crucial to success in November. Jared Hill, CBS News, New York.
The Harris-Walz campaign said it raised $36 million in the first 24 hours after she announced Walz as her running mate. Now, there is a new partnership in the health field that is giving hope to patients with the debilitating disease ALS and their families. The goal is to bring together resources to address the challenges patients and doctors face. CBS's Michael George has more.
Dave Schulman was having trouble buttoning his shirt. After months of tests, the 45-year-old father of 2 was diagnosed with ALS last year.
I mean, it's horrendous. You see your life flashing before your eyes and you fast forward to the inevitable.
The progressive and eventually fatal neurological condition, also called Lou Gehrig's disease, robs patients of the ability to walk, talk, eat, and breathe. Dave now has severe weakness in his arms and hands and slower walking and speech.
The disease is relentless and it just keeps progressing. It hurts, especially when you hear that there's really no treatment.
He's grateful to be part of a new research initiative he hopes can change that. Accelerating Medicine's partnership in ALS is building the largest data platform for research, bringing together not just scientists, but but also patients and families.
To be able to develop great diagnostic tests for ALS, to find targets for new medicines that would actually change the course or possibly even cure this disease.
Dr. Julie Gerberding is president and CEO of the Foundation for the National Institutes of Health.
What we're looking for in ALS are biomarkers, because early diagnosis really makes a difference to patients. But we're also looking for biomarkers that might give hints about what are the most likely approaches to treatment.
About 4,000 to 6,000 new cases of ALS are diagnosed each year.
My hope for the future is that one day, someone sits there like I did last year and gets the ALS diagnosis, and instead of being told, get your affairs in order, you're told, here's the treatment path.
Quite honestly, we wouldn't have been able to get through this past year if there wasn't hope.
The Schulmans also want other families to know they're not alone. Michael George, CBS News.
About 30,000 people in the United States currently have ALS. Now, back a little bit closer to home, over in the Magic City, well, downed trees, damaged homes, and debris scattered around. That's what was left after 70-mile-an-hour winds hit Billings. All that pales in comparison to what some experienced. MTN's Isabel Spartz met with more than one resident who now faces tens of thousands of dollars in repairs after significant damage to their homes.
Tuesday night storm in Billings saw over 70-mile-per-hour winds, causing large trees like this one to fall over. Some residents were left with minor damage, but others, like those in the Windsor Court mobile homes, were left with massive destruction.
It was a freak accident of nature.
After Tuesday's massive windstorm, many are still trying to pick up the debris. But for Windsor Estate resident Victoria Coulterer, it will be more than just sticks and branches to clean up.
I felt my house shaking, and then all of a sudden my house just, this loud boom, and I heard breaking glass, and that's when the tree branch crashed through my roof.
That large tree demolished her daughter's bedroom, but that's not all it did. The base of that same tree also completely demolished the front of her neighbor's home.
It was terrifying. And the whole neighborhood, and our whole neighborhood here has just been demolished.
Across the street, Lottie Few was home with her mother and had just left her bedroom when seconds later, a tree crashed through the roof and onto her bed.
Loud crashing, suddenly the hallway's lit, it's cold, it's wet. I felt something brush against my back, but I was that close to it happening.
Look at the house! There's a tree in our house! And until later, after all of that settled and I saw how shaken she was, I didn't realize how close she was to that when it happened.
And that's not the sound of running water, but instead a massive gas leak caused by another tree that toppled over, forcing residents to evacuate.
And you could hear it hissing loudly.
It sounded like water.
Yeah, it sounded like someone left the hose on.
I was yelling, "Someone help me!" And the gentleman from 3 doors down came down and cleared my porch off so I could get out of my house.
A few hours later, residents received a green light to return, but for some, there was no home to come back to.
This is my home, and it's a shell, and it's very devastating. I know it's just material things, but it's my home, and it's, where do you go? Where do you go?
An unfortunate situation, but one that has brought neighbors together during uncertainty.
Everyone has been so here for each other. That's what we need right now, because this isn't something that any one person can handle alone. The main takeaway is just
be grateful for what you have.
In Billings, Isabel Spartz, MTN News.
And I think that is that one kind of silver lining in the whole thing, that glimmer of hope of just people coming together, neighbors helping neighbors, and the community rallying after something so awful for everybody. Thank you very much, Isabel. Now, before we take a quick break, I wanted to share this with you. Now, we have quite the state fair here in Montana, but, well, I don't know if we want to adopt this for our next fair. Let me break this down. This is over in Indiana. Indiana State Fair kicked off this week. It's going to last for about 2 weeks, and, well, what you're looking at right now, giant cheese sculptures. There are 2 different pieces. One, the Mona Lisa that you can see right there, and the other, the American Cowlick, of course, playing off of fairly famous paintings in American and just international art history. These sculptures made from blocks of cheese weighing a whopping 1,500 pounds. It took sculptors nearly 300 hours for the entire project. Talk about, your arms must hurt after something like that, just getting the cheese made and then getting it all sculpted out. Now, we're going to take a short break here on Montana This Morning, but when we come back, we're going to have your top headlines. Mike Hurd is going to have a look at that forecast and childcare in Montana.
I'm Tom Buchanan. Childcare is a tricky issue here in Montana. I went to a conference here in Helena that's working to address the issues facing businesses and parents alike.